Mendacium seems to return to the monumental dread and disharmony of quietus and antithesis. Antithesis
Yeah,
and
I have a problem with two antithesis.
antithesis of light. What inspired this shift back into a darker sonic realm after the more melancholic tone of the other one,
Uh,
Hypnogogia?
oh, Hypnogogia. Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. Just post pandemic kind of sour things. There was a lot of things going on even after in our lives. Like we're always dealing with. It felt like it was a circle. Like a parent would get sick, and then another member, his parent would die, and then it was just like moving around. So we have people around us, close friends, family, aging parents get sick and die. So that has an effect on the writing. And I think it's also Hypnagogia was more of a melodic album for us, a little held back a little bit. And I think this is combined with everything that was going on during the time of writing this record. It was just a reaction to that one. So we kind of wanted, it just felt like we needed to go back to where we used to be, that really dark, just blunt force in your face kind of, doom.
The album's narrative centers on a monk descending into torment and potential madness. How much of this concept is rooted in historical or theological research versus purely symbolic or fictional elements?
It's a little of both. Um, when I was doing, I went down a rabbit hole for our, not the last album prior to this, called Atra Mors, which is in Latin means Black Death. It's bubonic plague. So I kind of went down that rabbit hole and I started discovering like throughout history, not just the Benedictine order, but there were a lot of descriptions of monks that one claimed to have gone to purgatory and come back. You have others that have said they were seeing demons in their room, while other like monks from the abbey and the abbot himself was in the room with them, and they didn't see anything. So there's a lot of that going on throughout history. Bringing in fictional, a more fiction element, kind of just based on what's been going on in today's day. Everybody's so polarized and on the extremes, and they're easily scared, so they find something that will comfort them. And a lot of times they find out that that comfort is false, just like Seneca had said. That religion is regarded to the common people as real, by the wise as fake, and by the powerful as useful to power. So I saw that a lot of that happening now, especially since during the beginning of the pandemic to now. So it's a little bit of both. There's a historic, you can find online accounts from different monks of different orders, Franciscan, Benedictine, and then you just look at the times we're in now.
How do you approach balancing storytelling and atmosphere in your music, especially when the narrative is so psychologically and theologically dense?
The lyrics always come last, so the music's already written by the time that I start writing lyrics, because I like to have everything that's the entire album completed, so I can just sit back and just try to block out everything I can and just what I'm picturing. So it's kind of like flashes of images in my head. So the music really shapes the lyrics as to what I'm feeling at the time of listening to and what's coming to mind, and it develops over time. Little steps here and there, and missteps, and going back. But you want the lyrics to match the music. If we're playing this form of music and you're singing about somebody's car engine dying this morning, it's not going to go too well. So I don't like doing social commentating on things, so I try to avoid that aspect. Um, but it's really, I mean, it's the balance of the two. The music shapes the lyrics, but the lyrics have to sit within the space that the music, the atmosphere is set for the music. So it's hard to balance that. You always have to go back and try and redo it again. I've had multiple false starts trying to write them, but then eventually they start coming out of ether.
Talk a little bit about working with Worthless for the cover art and Ron Bumblefoot Dahl with the
Yeah,
engineering, mixing,
Ron.
and mastering.
Yeah, Ron is. Ooh, I love that guy to death. He's an amazing human being. He's an incredible guitarist. I mean, you don't get to play for Guns N' Roses, and you're not an amazing guitarist and play. He's had Brian May on your solo. He has a solo record that just came out, Simon in Space. So he has Brian May on there, a whole list of people. But his insight, we've worked with him before on 3 of our previous albums 20 years ago. So we hadn't seen him in 20 years. But it felt like 20 minutes when we, got together again. And he's done. It's hard to describe a human being like that. It's something that you just have to experience. So, we were familiar with Ron, and we were actually very relaxed on this album. For some reason, between him and the house that he has a studio in, it's just very comforting, very relaxing. You can be yourself. You can try different things. Ron will tell you, he's only there to guide you to where you want to go, but he'll make suggestions along the line, or if you need to move on from something. So, my God, I can't say enough about Ron. Worthless, actually, I had discovered his art online one day. I don't remember where it was, and I was like, wow, this really kind of fits up with the music that we were in the middle of writing, but we were at the tail end of it. I was like, wow, this really fits what he the music is about, and the atmosphere of the music is the tone is trying to set. And I took it to my bass player, Dave, to show him the pictures. And he said, we know him. And I realized we did know him. He used to actually live in this town. He moved a few towns over. And I was just like, well, that's a small world, because I had no idea it was him. So we just handed him the music, the backstory, the lyrics, gave a few pointers, and just, I like to back off and let artists have their expressive freedom. So I don't want to put guardrails on them. And so he took it and ran with it, and he did an amazing job. The way he set things up, he said he had placeholders that he took pictures of, where he went into his basement and he took a skeleton he had and he set it in the position that you see the monk on the cover. He had a book set up, and the doorway you see on the front cover and the window, those are actually into another room in his basement. So it was really interesting to watch, see how he operates and how he develops his ideas. So he was an amazing talent, and a really, really nice guy.
The titles of the tracks reference canonical.
Canonical hours, yeah.
Sorry.
No, trust me. I have the same issues with it. I sometimes get them wrong. Like I get tongue tied doing them.
You know what? We'll just say it wrong and go with it, instead of getting stuck on the twist. The titles of the
Exactly. I
tracks.
want to be pandemic.
The titles of the tracks reference canonical hours of prayer. How did that structure influence the pacing and emotional progression of the album?
Well, it's really more the opposite. The title for the songs actually came toward the very end, when we finished writing the album, and we were getting ready to try and set up studio time to start recording. And I don't remember how I came across it a few times, and I just thought, well, there's 8 songs, 6 songs, 2 instrumentals, interludes, whatever you want to call them. And I just thought, well, wow, that kind of just fits right into the story without any intention of trying to find it. So it sets up the story in which this monk is tormented on being so confined to his room, his cell, because he's old, because he's sick, because he's dying. The only control he has, and basically any Benedictine monk would have in those days, is their mechanical hours. It's the one element that they have control over. And it's like we're creatures of habit. So I wanted something for whatever's tormenting him. I want to have that entity tormenting him or his inner mind attack his stability, attack the monk's whole reason for existing, and giving prayer to God in the 8 canonical hours by attacking each and every hour of those prayers. You're attacking at them at their core. You're attacking their control. You're attacking their stability. So the music shaped everything as far as the lyrics are concerned. The lyrics shaped the titles because of the story that I was working on at the time as well.
With the new album, you described a deeper integration of Gothic and even experimental elements. Can you elaborate on how those influences were incorporated and what role they played in shaping the album's identity?
We've always had a little bit of Gothic in our music. We're fans of Depeche Mode, The Cure, Sisters of Mercy, and it's been part of our writing process for a long time. Just even Typo Negative and being from this general area, it was just kind of always there. But usually it's like there's a spoken word it influenced a lot of that. There's parts where there's just like a keyboard that's filling up space, as long as with the clean guitars, kind of spaced out notes. So we brought some of that element from bands that they're Gothic, but most people aren't familiar with them. Like a band called Monumentum from Italy, or Ross Algethi, Cult of Sanguine from Italy. They're all Italian. They Sadness. They used to do the same thing where they would space out their notes, and then you'd have just something to fill that space in between those notes, and just keep you in that setting, that atmosphere, and then bring something in to really jolt you from your slumber, so to speak, your trance. So it affected a lot of that. So you hear a lot of that with just like the way that we use the clean guitars and the keyboards. It's something that's always been there for us.
The quote from Seneca suggests a cynical or at least questioning attitude towards organized religion. How do you reconcile that with the sincere portrayal of religious struggle in the album's concept?
To me, I see them. The universe is so vast, and we know very, very little of anything at all. So to me, there's really either doesn't. I don't see it as a conflict of each other or contradicting. Mainly because we're so tied down to comfort ourselves with things that become so ingrained in so many people that they're willing to go out and harm others in the name of that, which is incredibly ignorant. And it's just, to me, religion, if anybody would have asked me, what's the worst thing humanity has ever created, the deadliest thing humanity's ever created, it would be religion. It has far more bloodshed on its hands than any probably every bullet combined fought in every war in the past 1,000 years. So to me, the belief doesn't really contradict, in my mind, the story and its anti-religion context. And I don't want to go into the like deep conversation of it, but it's just, to me, they're one of the same, and that's ignorance.
Evoken has maintained a unique position in the funeral doom landscape for decades. What has driven your longevity and commitment to this particular intense and atmospheric subgenre?
Oh, we just love playing it. It's within our DNA. It's ingrained. You know, we've been doing this for over 30 years, and it every time I love when we have a new song put together. I still get the same reaction that I did when we were first together as a band, and bringing on board different things, try and experiment with different elements from other genres as well. But I mean, how can it not be ingrained in us? You know, that real slow horror-esque atmosphere that we all love. We love horror movies. We love playing this music. We love experiencing hearing it, a proper recording of it for the first time. So we're still, even though we've been doing it for over 30 years, it's still as fresh as it was, year one. So we just keep doing it until we decide we don't, it's boring us or something. But no, we love doing it. It's very, very easy for us.
You mentioned sepulchral heaviness and a cathedral-like ambience. Was there a specific production techniques? Were there specific production techniques or compositional strategies you used to create this immersive, ancient atmosphere?
You try, well, whenever I wouldn't say it's more of a balance between using various delays and reverbs. Because when you're in a giant cathedral, like we have one nearby here in New York, St. John's the Divine, and it has this atmosphere to it because everything just bounces off, sound bounces off everywhere. So you want to record it with as less reverb as you can, and then add it in when you start mixing the album. And in order to project that atmosphere of being in a huge space, you have to use a lot of reverb and a lot of delays. If it was fast music, I don't think it would work as well. It does with slow music. You have time for the notes to really decay and to really settle. So bringing in that reverb really, it boasts that atmosphere for us. So it's not so much a trick. So many bands have done it over the years. Ron, his mind is amazing. So I'm sure he tried different things putting things in that we still don't know about. But yeah, it's just I use a reverb and delay, and nothing really new though, or not seen as common.
Any new gear used on the new album to get that dread-soaked tone that you have, especially
Okay.
on tracks like None and Matins?
Gotcha. Sorry about that. Actually, no, the opposite. We went back to our older equipment. On Hypnogogia, we relied more or completely on the prior studio, their amps that they had in-house. All the albums prior to that, we've used our own equipment. And we've upgraded them a little bit, as time progresses. But for this album, we went back and we used our amps that we use on stage, because there's something about the sound of that guitar or the bass or what have you coming through the speakers that you can't get digitally just plugged in as a direct input to a DAW. The amps actually push out that air. It allows you the freedom to use feedback. So it actually wasn't new equipment. It was just going back to old equipment, actually.
Nice, nice. And finally, a silly question: if the monk in the new album somehow gained access to modern technology, what Spotify playlist or YouTube rabbit hole would most likely consume his last fragile hours of sanity?
Uh, well, that's a good question. Uh, let's see. Well, I would imagine they'd have to go easy on them, not being used to hearing music that's harsh or abrasive and loud for that fact. Um, I don't know. Maybe he would have to cheer up and listen to some, Duran Duran. When I listen to some Duran Duran, get caught up with at least the '80s, and at least it'll pick him up from his misery. But it'll probably go through a whole Duran Duran, Devo, and Depeche Mode, and Simple Minds. That's probably the whole list. The Spotify list would have a lot of that.
Very cool, Vince. Thank you for your time. Look forward to
My
maybe catch
pleasure.
you out on the road sometime. And you have a great day. Any
Absolutely.
final thoughts you'd like to share with anybody that might be watching, listening, or reading this?
Uh, well, thank you for taking the time to have a conversation and talk to them. I just want to thank everybody that was involved with the music video. Ava, Rob, Obsidian Studios, everybody, Chloe, Joe, the crew. They were amazing. It was not easy working in extreme heat like they had to. So I thank them most important. We'll have dates coming up soon for touring Europe and some dates in the US as well. So stay tuned for that. And October 17th, album's available in all formats. So make sure you pick it up. And if you see us, come over to us. Let us know what you think.